City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Barcelona, and Manchester City. And these are the spaces. If you land on this, you get a 5 point, and you have to shoot 6. But if you don't get a 6, and 5. And if you don't get a 5 or 6, then you don't get a goal.
So if you roll the dice and you get a 5 or 6, you get a goal. And if you get a 4 or below, you don't get a goal. Okay, what about the other spots?
And then this is a red card. If you get a red card, you lose that turn.
Oh, okay, don't want that. What else?
This is a 5 ball again.
Okay.
And this is Barcelona. If you are Barcelona, you get an immediate goal and get to go again. But if you're not Barcelona, you have to get a 6, 5, or 4.
But you get to roll, and if you get a 6, 5, or 4, you get a goal? Okay, what about the next one, the yellow card?
If you get a yellow card, if you get 1 yellow card, then if you get 1 more, then you miss a turn.
You miss a turn if you get 2 yellow cards. Okay. And then what about the ones that say UEFA on them? What about that?
Well, that is we need to be a shootout. Whoever has who does the higher number, rolls the higher number, then they win.
So both players roll a dice, and whoever rolls the higher number, what? Gets a goal. Gets a goal. Okay. And then what happens if you both roll and it's a tie?
Then you have to go again.
And what happens when someone wins the second time around?
You get 2 goals.
2 goals. Wow. Okay. What else? What about how the game ends? So show us the path that players take. All the way. I see. And then that's the end. Okay. And then what happens at the end?
Whoever scores the most goals wins. But if you don't score the most goals, they have to have not the UEFA one. You have to do 4.
5, right?
Yeah, and then whoever wins.
So the game ends when the first player gets to the end? Okay, and if there's one player with more goals, then the game's over and that person wins. If the game ends and they have the same amount of goals, you go into a penalty shootout? Okay, and what happens is you each roll, you do a head-to-head shootout 5 times? Okay, and if someone has more wins after 5, then game's over and they win. And if it's still a tie after 5,
you have to go again.
You go into sudden death. Once for the whole enchilada, huh? That is an awesome game, Andrew. What do you call it?
The UEFA Champions League game.
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody watching can't wait to play it. Right? I bet you can't wait to play with them too, huh? Okay, what do you say?
Bye-bye, Moon. Bye-bye.